Coming up in our next hour, from a war in the desert to a battle in West Palm Beach, the images of the year gone by.
It's 11 till the hour. Like frames of a film flickering past a projector lens, so are the days of our lives, or at least Jewel Siegel's life. And Jewel is here this morning to take a look at the year in pictures in 1991. Joel?
Good
morning,
good Nancy. It was a good year. Remember, in the movies, it used to be the U.S. cavalry who'd come to the rescue, but this year, they weren't wearing blue or riding horseback. He was wearing red and driving reindeer. It was Santa Claus who saved Hollywood in the nick of time. And you know what he brought to fill their Christmas stockings? Money. Hollywood had a huge Christmas weekend. The holiday might produce 9 hit films. We were predicting bust, but now it seems 1991 will be flat compared to last year at the box office, though on the screen it was something else again.
Just once, I would like to hear you scream in pain. Play some rap music.
And Bruce was not alone. Vanilla Ice's career melted away in 1991, and not only did no one care, no one even noticed. Among the year's other flops, V.I. Warshawski couldn't shoot straight, The Butcher's Wife couldn't cut it, The Rocketeer couldn't fly. John Candy dreamt he was starring in his own soap opera. He should have dreamt he was starring in a movie that made money. He had 2 flops in 91. John Hughes, who did Home Alone last year, should have stayed there this year. He had 3. And what happened to Scenes from a Mall? When I heard about it, the only way it could have been better was if Bette sung. When I watched it, the only way it could have been worse was if Woody sung. Who sang in Hudson Hawk?
Would you rather be a pig?
Maybe he should have tried rap, the flop of the year. But if 91 was a bad year for Hawks, it was a good year for Seagulls. Armand Assante played Bugsy Siegel in The Marrying Man. Richard Grieco played Bugsy Siegel in Mobsters. 3rd time's a charm. Warren Beatty's Bugsy is a cinch for a Mobster nomination, and this year all 5 actor nominees, who played characters with more loose screws than a 54 Nash. Robin Williams, a homeless schizophrenic in The Fisher King. Anthony Hopkins, a serial killer in Silence of the Lambs. Nick Nolte barely surviving a wildly dysfunctional family in Prince of Tides, and Robert De Niro with Fear in Cape Fear.
Come out, wherever you are.
The biggest film of the year?
Trust me.
Arnold in Terminator 2, the most expensive movie ever made. It's already made money, one of 5 $100 million hits in 1991.
No problemo.
And after this Christmas, Hook, The Addams Family, and Beauty and the Beast will also be $100 million hits. Steven Spielberg will not have to walk the plank. They are all family films, but films aimed at grown-ups did well, too. Prince of Tides opened to oceans of business, and my favorite variety headline of the year, Bugsy Slays 'Em. Something else happened at the end of the year. Labor Day, I was afraid there'd be 3 movies on my 10 best list. But 91 turned out to be a good year at the movies. Cape Fear, Ramblin' Rose, 2 terrific documentaries. Paris is Burning and Hearts of Darkness missed the cut. But here are the 10 that made it in roughly reverse alphabetical order, starting with the best movie line of 1991.
I do wish we could chat longer, but I'm having an old friend for dinner.
Silence of the Lambs, not just a great horror film, a great film, period. Have you ever been this scared at the movies?
Shoot the radio. The police radio, Louise.
Thelma and Louise, one of the year's best, and buddy movies will never be the same. If writer Pat Conroy had seen Nick Nolte act, he would have called this King of Tides. Speaking of royalty, The Fisher King. It's Monty Python meets It's a Wonderful Life.
Yeah, but what we publish is mostly trashy romance novels.
Don't say that. There's nothing trashy about romance. You find some pretty wonderful things in the trash.
The Commitments, because it's the most fun I had at the movies all year. And when I was a kid, I thought the song was about a car.
Mustang Sally, my baby. Guess you better slow the Mustang down.
That's okay. Billy Crystal thought it was about a horse. What'd you like best, the scene about the VCR? Or Jack Palance, who has to be nominated for an Oscar? Any way you look at it, City Slickers delivered.
Oh, look what I did. I made a cow. He looks like you.
Boys in the Hood from first-time director 23-year-old John Singleton, powerful and important.
You're my only son, and I'm not going to lose you to no boy, yeah?
Barton Fink, a movie for movie lovers about Hollywood as hell. Hollywood's always loved gangsters, but Bugsy Siegel was the first gangster who fell in love with Hollywood. Director Barry Levinson swore to me he had no idea Warren Beatty and Annette Bening were playing these scenes for real. He thought they were acting.
Now, what exactly does Mr. Esther want from Miss Virginia? Right now, Mr. Resta is having a tremendous amount of difficulty imagining anything he doesn't want from Miss Virginia.
And this is my choice for the best movie of the year. Not only does it deserve to be Oscar nominated, check out the score. Beauty and the Beast deserves the Tony as the best Broadway musical of the year.
After all, miss, this is France. Go on, unfold your menu, take a glance, and then you'll be our guest. We our guest, be our guest.
Just a great film, and I'm angry at the LA Film Critics and the National Board of Review for giving this a special award or putting it in an animation category. Don't shunt it aside. It's a movie and a great one. It deserves a nomination. The Oscar ballots go out in January. The nominations are announced in February. I love this, and the early favorites has to be between Silence of the Lambs and Bugsy.
One movie that I saw yesterday that I noticed didn't make your 10 best, The Inside Circle.
Inner Circle.
I'm sorry, The Inner Circle that I saw yesterday, which was a wonderful film. Obviously,
there were,
a look at the Stalinist era.
I started with a list of 25 films, narrowed it down to 10, and I really was afraid in Labor Day there'd only be 3. This was a good year at the movies.
It was amazing. Tom Hulce yesterday was fabulous, and boy, it was
made your
was
10
great.
best, huh?
And I saw The Prince of Tides, and that made my 10 best. It's been a big year.
Next year I'm doing surgery. You do the 10 best.
Joel, thanks a lot, and Happy New Year.
You too.
We'll be back in just a minute, so stay with us.
Minutes past the hour. You know, hardly a week has gone by this year without a visit from at least one of our house doctors, either Dr. Tim Johnson or Dr. Nancy Snyderman, trying to explain exactly whatever medical topic was currently making the headlines. Well, that at 91 is kind of drawing to a close. We've asked them back to look over the past year in medicine and to see which stories, which studies and findings and they think are going to have long-term impacts on our health. Dr. Nancy Snyderman and our medical editor, Dr. Tim Johnson, here for a rare duet. Wow.
We like it this way.
Boy, I tell you what, the bill's going to be enormous, I can tell you that. Why don't you start with you, Tim? Why don't you give us an idea of the medical, you know, we hear about breakthroughs all the time. What are the ones that are really going to have an impact on
Well, you know, we go through this exercise every year and we try to guess, which is all we can really do. This year we have a little help because the Harvard Health Letter staff, its advisory board, was given a list of possibilities for the top 10, and they voted on them. And so what Nancy and I are going to do this morning is present their view of the top 10. And I'll go through the first 5, and Nancy will go through the next 5. In October, the NIH announced that first human gene therapy, that is giving genes into blood cells for a human immune deficiency condition. That was number 1 on their list. Number 2 was the study in September announced by the Nurses' Health Study that postmenopausal women taking estrogen had half the rate of heart attacks. So another important study showing the benefit of estrogen. In July, there was a study showing that a new genetically engineered drug can help people with chemotherapy keep their white blood cell count up. Number 4, they label this the decade of the mouse because the mouse is now being widely used to screen drugs and to test human diseases. And number 5, a new drug for treating mild congestive heart failure, still a very common cause of death, shown to be very successful. Those were the first 5 on the list. Nancy?
There's also, I understand now, breakthroughs regarding high blood pressure in older people.
Exactly. This is systolic hypertension, or the top number of your blood pressure reading. And what makes this so significant is that for years doctors have been reluctant to treat this in older patients because the drugs could have serious side effects. But now for systolic hypertension, they are treating that top number, and they found that that reduces the number of strokes and heart attacks in older people. Number 7 on the list had to do with muscular dystrophy. And this was a mice study where they took a gene injected into mice that lacked the ability to make a certain protein. It corrected that, and they think that may, in fact, unlock a potential cure for muscular dystrophy. Number 8, very interesting study, and it directed what we already know about aspirin and the use in men, and that is a Nurses' Health study showed that aspirin can help ward off heart attacks in women as well as it does in men, taking about an aspirin a day. Number 9 had to do with laparoscopic surgery. We talked about doing this for gallbladder surgery. It's like telescopic surgery. Safe, cuts down on the operative time, looks like it's a real breakthrough for surgery, and a new diabetes vaccine, which will probably appear in the next decade, I would imagine. And number 10, and I think this is one of great import, colon cancer gene. We've now sort of targeted the gene that in some people probably predisposes them to getting colon cancer, and since that's a leading or a major killer in this country, I think it's a huge breakthrough.
Awful lot of headlines. It is now 38 minutes past the hour. Many readers of the Entertainment Weekly will tell you that their favorite guilty pleasure is Jim Mullen's Hot Sheet. For those of you not yet in the know, we're going to put you in the know right now. The Hot Sheet is a cool, often caustic take on the week's top celebrities and newsmakers. And since 1991 gave us a bumper crop in both categories, we have invited Jim Mullen here to join us this morning to take a look back at what people were really talking about last year, this year. Good to have you with us.
Well, thank you so much.
Give us a little inside tip on what the Hot Sheet really is.
Well, I make a living insulting people, so that's basically what the Hot Sheet is. But the difference between it and most one-line comments on things is that I talk about what I think people are really talking about. For example, on the news every night you'll see a story about the Serbs and the Croats. But around the water cooler, nobody ever talks about that. It's way low. They talk more about Liz Taylor and things like that.
Before we get to Liz, and we will, I promise you that.
Gotcha.
How do you decide who gets in? Is it just like a gut reaction?
It's in the air, what I think most people, cocktail party conversations. And the way I write it is, you know, when you go to a party and somebody says something, it's kind of, I wish I'd have said it. So I spend all week long going, I wish I'd have said, and come up with a line.
Well, let's hear some of the things that you not only wish you had said, but in fact you have said. We'll start now and run down our list right now. We'll start with looking back at '91 with Julia Roberts.
Well, Julia Roberts, of course, the big news, the reason she was in the news, other than that she's a fine actress and gorgeous, is the Kiefer Sutherland situation. And when you think about it, I think it had to fail because she is a huge star commanding big salaries. And he's got an agent that's going like, but can you be a secret square? I mean, please. And that's the problem there. It was kind of the Norman Maine Star is Born situation.
Speaking about hot, Kevin Costner.
Kevin Costner, well, Kevin Costner, I like Kevin Costner. He makes great movies. Dances with Wolves was great. Robin Hood was great. JFK was... 2 hours of it was great.
Right.
And but the thing is, I mean, can you imagine like Bogey and Spencer Tracy and Kevin Costner sitting at a bar drinking, and Kevin Costner going, "I'll have the Avion."
Well, they'd be very old. Macaulay Culkin, the world's youngest new millionaire.
We like Macaulay, but there is a problem. There's a guy named Tony Schwartz, a media advisor, and he had a great line once. He said, "You know, a horse walking across the screen on Bonanza is not acting." And that's my feeling about child actors. Would you pay a horse $5 million? I mean, they can't really be acting.
Depends on what the odds were at the track. Tell us about Liz, please. Married again.
Married again, and of course we want her to be the happiest woman in the world. But think about where she met Larry Fortensky, the Betty Ford Center. Hey, come on. There is quality dating at the Betty Ford Center. When your 12-step program, you've hit rock bottom. You go to the Betty Ford Center and meet somebody and get married. I don't know.
Love at first sight?
I don't know. What do they talk about? What, they're not going to drink tonight?
Well, you can put that
I'm not having a martini. What are you not having?
Well, we're not having any more time, unfortunately. It's 41 and a half minutes past the hour. Jim Mullen, good to have you with us.
Thank you very
I
much.
hope the Hot Sheet is just as hot next year. And if we happen to work our way into it, only in the best of circumstances. That's not a request. It's simply a please don't hurt us. It's now 41 minutes past the hour. We'll be back with Dick Clark in a moment. 9 minutes past the hour. It was 12 months ago today that we were standing here marveling at the year gone by. Would there ever again be a year like 1990 with all its major changes? Well, we discovered all too soon that 1991 would have more of its share of earth-shaking events as well, beginning with the explosion of war. We now look back at the sounds and the images of 1991.
Just 2 hours ago, Allied air forces began an attack on military targets in Iraq and Kuwait. These attacks continue as I speak. I instructed our military commanders to prevail as quickly as possible.
It wasn't a resignation, it was a retirement.
I am very pleased to announce that I will nominate Judge Clarence Thomas to serve as Associate Justice of the United States Supreme Court.
I began to be concerned that Clarence Thomas might take out his anger with me by degrading me or not giving me important assignments.
I, Clarence Thomas, do solemnly swear that I will support and defend.
There's 3,800 people out here that could lose their job, and then the economy would suffer also.
I would be less than honest if I did not admit to you my regret at not having the chance to run for president.
I have decided, and I formally announce today, that I will be a candidate for President of the United States in every primary that we can be placed on the ballot.
We saw the flames coming down from the top of the hill, and it was incinerating all the houses, anything that was in its way. It was incredible.
Father, we will not rest until Wichita is abortion-free.
The Twins are going to win the World Series. The Twins have won it.
They found an opportunity to run me out, and they are not going to run me out of Dodge City.
Mr. Dahmer, is it correct that you wish to waive or give up your right to have a preliminary hearing in this case?
That's correct, Your Honor.
Want to play? Right now? Right now, come on. Truth or dare. Truth or dare. Dare.
Because of the HIV virus that I have, I will have to retire from the Lakers.
And I think it's best for the president that I move on.
He raped me.
I'm innocent.
Работа прекращается.
Какие каналы информации?
Я прекращаю свою деятельность.
I am ceasing my activities in the post of President of the USSR.
Before we go, we want to take a second to look back at the influential personalities of 1991, and who better than to lead it off than the late Miles Davis.